Welcome back to Strength Talk. You hear the word engagement thrown around all the time, right? But what does it really mean for someone to be engaged at work? It's kind of one of those buzzwords that gets misunderstood. So today, in this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise, define what engagement truly is, and talk about how you can start building it, like today.
So let's just dive right in and get a clear definition on the table. Engagement is so much more than just an employee being happy or satisfied. It goes way deeper than that. It's really about the emotional and psychological investment a person makes, in their actual work and in the organization as a whole. It means they feel like they have a personal stake in the company's success. And that investment, that's what leads to what experts call discretionary effort. And that right there is the magic. It's the huge difference between an employee who just clocks in and does the bare minimum and one who willingly goes that extra mile. You know the type, staying a little late to help a teammate, always bringing fresh ideas to the table, and just genuinely being a champion for the company. That's the real power of engagement.
And check this out. The data totally backs this up. In companies that have really strong coaching cultures, a whopping 65% of their employees are highly engaged. Now, this isn't just some happy accident. It is crystal clear proof that how we lead and develop our people has a direct, massive impact on their level of investment. Okay, so if coaching is a huge part of the key, what's the magic formula? What kind of coaching actually works best? Well, it requires a little bit of a shift in how we think about it. Instead of just running around putting out fires and fixing problems, we need to be proactive. We need to build the foundations of engagement from the ground up. Let's take a look at what that really means. It's an approach called positive psychology coaching, or PPC for short. And it's all rooted in this idea of focusing on people's strengths, on what makes them flourish, instead of just zeroing in on what's wrong. So rather than just treating the symptoms of low engagement, like poor performance or turnover, PPC goes straight to the source. It helps us build those psychological pillars that support genuine, sustainable engagement. So what are these psychological pillars, these building blocks? Well, honestly, they're the fundamental things we all crave at work. We need autonomy, a sense of control over our own work. We need support and appreciation to feel like our contributions are seen and valued. We need opportunities to grow and develop our skills. And, maybe most importantly, we need to have trusting relationships with our leaders. When those core needs are met, engagement isn't something you have to force. It's just the natural result. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? How do you apply this stuff in the real world? Don't worry, we've got you covered. We've got 3 simple but really powerful action anchors that you can literally use this week to start figuring out what your team needs to feel truly engaged. Here's the toolkit. It's as simple as this. Ask, assess, and measure. That's it. First, we're going to ask about fulfillment. Then we'll assess what kind of support people actually need. And finally, we'll measure that sense of belonging. Ready? Let's dive into the first one. Your first action is so simple, but believe me, it's powerful. This week, just ask one person on your team this question. What sparks your sense of fulfillment at work? This question cuts right to the heart of what truly motivates them, what makes their job feel meaningful. And asking it now, especially when things might feel a little uncertain, is absolutely critical. All right, action number 2. Assess their support needs. And this is so important. Remember that appreciation is not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. A big public shout-out might be amazing for one person, but it could be the worst thing ever for someone else. Your job is to get curious, to understand what works for each individual. And then, and this is the key part, commit to meeting just one of those needs this week. It's these small, personalized actions that have a huge, huge impact. And your third and final anchor is all about measuring belonging. At the end of the day, people need to feel like they matter, like their work actually makes a difference. So take a minute to reflect. How does your team know they matter? How is that communicated? And then find one proactive way to reinforce that message this week. Maybe it's in a team meeting, or maybe it's just in how you share credit for a big win. So you see, these 3 actions, ask, assess, and measure, they're so much more than just a checklist. They're your starting point. They're how you begin to turn these insights into real action, and how you start building a future where your team isn't just showing up, but is genuinely invested. As we start to wrap up here, I want to leave you with a question to really chew on. Based on everything we've covered today, what do you think is the single most important action you can take to boost a team member's psychological investment? The answer is going to be different for every single leader and for every team, and discovering that answer,
Well, that's the real heart of great leadership.
And hey, if this whole topic really got you fired up and you want to go even deeper, make sure you tune in for our next explainer. We're going to break down the building blocks of engagement even further. And for those of you who are ready to turn these ideas into a serious practice, you might even want to check out a course in positive psychology coaching to really sharpen these skills and build your best future.
And one last thing. If this explainer sparked an idea for you, please share it with your network. The more of us who understand what really drives people, the better our workplaces are going to be for everyone. Thanks so much for listening to Strength Talk.